Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another ROU online series. Today we'll be continuing the second part of Lailatul Qadr. And yesterday we spoke somewhat of it. We covered almost two topics or two parts of Lailatul Qadr. And today we'll continue another two parts, inshallah. We begin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bil ihsanin illa yawmiddin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli wa ba'd. So Lailatul Qadr, and you know verily the nights of among the last 10 nights are dawning upon us, and we are in the 20th day of Ramadan for those who started on local sighting, and it verily the 21st night, the first odd night among the last 10 nights of Ramadan will be tonight, just in a couple hours. So inshallah we can be prepared for it as much as we can, inshallah. Yesterday we spoke about Lailatul Qadr. We touched on two aspects of it, namely that the Quran was sent down on Lailatul Qadr, and secondly that it is better than 1,000 months, better than 30,000 nights, better than 83 years and 4 months. So you know, so we have covered this yesterday. Let's delve into two more aspects of Lailatul Qadr today. So when Allah speaks about Lailatul Qadr, know that Allah has revealed an entire surah just for this, about this, referring to this night, the Suratul Qadr, chapter number 97. Allah has revealed the entire surah speaking about this night solely. Like, you know, a lot of the surahs we cover in our juz, that it speaks about multiple issues. It speaks about the different prophets, it speaks about you know, mankind, and then the Tawheed and all of these things. This Surah Qadr speaks only solely about Lailatul Qadr. The entire thing from beginning to end just speaks about Lailatul Qadr. So if Allah gives this amount of importance, if Allah gives this amount of attention to Lailatul Qadr, then the scholars have mentioned that we also need to give that amount of attention to it. We need to attach that amount of importance to it, you know, and you know, find some way, find some time that we seek it out among all of these 10 nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So get into the aspects, some more aspects of Lailatul Qadr. And we said yesterday that when we define the term Qadr, that one of the things it referred to was the predestination, that it refers to the decree that is done. And you know, Qadr means somewhat of a measure, a decree, something that can be calculated. And you know, one of the things that we know is done, as mentioned in Surah Dukhan, chapter 44, verse number 2 and 3, that on this night, on Lailatul Mubarakan, as it is also called, that the decree and the decree of mankind is written on this night. Decree meaning what will take place, what the commands that will be given to the angels, that it is written on this night. And you know, when we remember, sometimes we think about the decree, the Qadr of Allah, the predestination of Allah, what Allah wills that is written down, and we say sometimes that how could this be changed? Because we know of the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad mentioned that 50,000 years before the entire heavens and earth was created, that Allah wrote that which is in Lawhil Mahfuz. Allah wrote every single thing that will happen, and it was there in the preserved tablets in Lawhil Mahfuz. So how could this be changed now? How can the decree of Allah be changed? And you know, we say this is one of the things that happen on Lailatul Qadr. So to answer that question, it's simple, that that which is in the Lawhil Mahfuz, that which was Allah wrote 50,000 years before the heavens and the earth was created, that is considered the main scrolls. That is the main source. And then there are different scrolls, we can say, where we use the term scrolls for now, that are written at different points in time. Example, on Lailatul Qadr, there is a scroll that is written that will be given and deputed to the angels, in other words. So the angels would take it from then and carry about the commands of Allah. So every Lailatul Qadr, the decree is written, they're given it to the angels. Another time when scrolls are written is when someone is born, that it is written for them how long is their lifespan, how much food and how much water they are entitled to on the earth, when will they die and where will they die. These things are also written when someone is born. So understand that there's the main scrolls, that which is in Lawh al-Mahfuz, and then there are others that are written at different points, one of them being Lailatul Qadr. And we know that there's also the hadith that has mentioned that dua changes Qadr. Dua is able to change Qadr. And which Qadr will that be changing? Not the one that was written in Lawh al-Mahfuz, but the Qadr that is given example on Lailatul Qadr, the Qadr that could be changed there on this night. So to understand, in simple terms, what takes place on this night. And as Allah says in Surah 97, that تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ, that the angels descend by the permission of Allah, and the ruh, referring to Jibreel alayhi salam, and the command, as well as the command of Allah descends. So this is one of the things that takes place on that night. And in the various Mufassirin, An-Nawawi, Ibn Kathir, Ad-Dahhak, all of these have mentioned that the Qadr which takes place, the Qadr which is written on that night, could be as much of every single thing basically, from who will live and who will die from one Lailatul Qadr to the next. Even I have lost a grandfather within the last couple of months, meaning that was written since the last Lailatul Qadr, and even though we would have made dua then and we would have done our ibadah then, you would not have known what have taken place. So we ask Allah for any of us who have lost ones between now and the last Lailatul Qadr, and may Allah make us may Allah forgive them for their sins and give them a comfortable place and barzakh, and reunite us all in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. So some of the things that are written is who would live and die between this Lailatul Qadr and the next, all the children who would be born, who will get married or not, who would get a job, who will become successful or not. Even the Hajj mentions who will go to the Hajj or not, written on this Lailatul Qadr. So generally every single thing will be written then, what will take place between this Lailatul Qadr and the next Lailatul Qadr. So much so that probably even the coronavirus would have been written then, that who would have died from it and who will be infected by it and who would be cured from it also was written since the last Lailatul Qadr. So the times that this is a time when our Qadr is being written on this single night. Our Qadr for the next year will be written, and just like the Prophet Muhammad would have liked to do when his deeds is presented to Allah, he used to be among those that he would like to be in a state of ibadah when his deeds is presented to Allah. Likewise, when the Qadr of our Qadr is being written, just as the Prophet Muhammad did, that he used to be as much in a state of ibadah at that point in time. And of course, if our Qadr is written, we would like to be in a state where we would ask Allah, we would beg Allah, we would make supplications to Allah to ask Him to let our next year be an easy one. We ask Allah that all the things that we would like to achieve in the next year, that we ask Him then, that when our Qadr is being written, that inshallah it would be among those things that are written. So know that where the Qadr stands in the entirety of Lailatul Qadr. So one of the other things that takes place on the night of Lailatul Qadr, as mentioned again in the surah, that تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ, that the angels descend, as well as the ruh, and we said the ruh refers to Angel Jibreel alayhi salam. And when you see the angels descend, we referring to the bi'ithnillah, by the permission of Allah, that so many angels come down on this night and they visit those who are doing ibadah, and they probably give them salams, or some of the hadith mentions, but so many angels descend on this night. And then the other verse which speaks about salam, that peace, that as some Mufassirin mentioned, that because of the angels' presence on the earth at that point in time, that causes salam, that causes peace, that causes a sense of tranquility throughout the land, because of the presence of the angels, as well as just of the mere fact of it being Lailatul Qadr, that special night, that there is peace, there is tranquility, there is this serenity in the land during that time. And here we can probably skip across to some signs in a little bit. So the angels descend at that point in time, and we know that angel Jibril alayhi salam was the angel that was in charge of revelation, of bringing the scriptures and bringing the wahi to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all of the those who are messengers. And angel Jibril does not have a purpose really, any reason for visiting the earth other than in these cases of revelation. But angel Jibril descends upon the earth at this night also. So it is a special occasion that angel Jibril is allowed and visits the earth at this point in time. So know that all of these things happen, and Ibn Khuzaimah brings a nice narration where Prophet Muhammad mentioned that the amount of angels that are present on the face of the earth at that night on Lailatul Qadr is even more than the amount of stones and pebbles there are on the face of the earth. Can we imagine that they're probably just out in our yards there are so many stones and pebbles, and we could just imagine on the if we have a big quarry maybe how many stones there are. And the hadith mentions that the amount of angels are more than the amount of stones there and pebbles there on the face of the earth. And another narration mentions that they are more than the amount of stars there are in the sky. So know that when inshallah we will witness Lailatul Qadr, and know that when we wake out during the nights and we try to achieve Lailatul Qadr, feel or be aware of that there will be so many angels around us. It's just something that doesn't happen that often. So going on, some of the opinions of the scholars are that the night shifts. So one opinion that it is the same night every single night, meaning every single year, meaning that if it was the 27th, and we're not saying it is the 27th, if it was the 27th one year, that it will be the 27th continuously every single year, or likewise the 21st or the 23rd. One another opinion is that it shifts. That Allah shifts it from different night to night throughout the different years. So maybe one year it would have been the 25th, and one year it would have been the 27th or the 29th, but not something that remains constant. So something to think about, something to be cognizant about. That maybe if we notice certain things last year after the sun rose and how it was, it may not necessarily be the same every single year. So when we come into some of the signs, as most of the muhaddith mentioned, that there is no authentic hadith that refers to any of the signs before or during the night, before Fajr or during the night. All of the authentic hadith are refer to items that happen after the night has passed, referred to as after the time of Fajr. In other words, we commonly hear sometimes that the dogs and the donkeys will not bray, and that the salt water in the sea becomes sweet. But all of these are weak hadith. We know that there will be a general sense of peace and tranquility because the surah mentions that. As well as a couple of other things, that there was a couple mentions of things that the moon will be a certain size, and which is from authentic hadith also. But the major signs that we can all tell regarding Lailatul Qadr happens after, which is after Fajr, that is after the break of dawn, that is. And that one of them, the most common one, is that the sun will rise without its rays, basically rise in a somewhat of a dull manner. That doesn't mean you have to go and stare at the sun every single morning, but maybe you could a good thing to check it out as we have the time these days. So it's not about looking for the signs, but sometimes we get so caught up looking at the signs that we forget to do our own ibadah. But it is about seeking out the night of Lailatul Qadr, and the wisdom of it coming after. Again, if we knew that this was the night, that we will do the ibadah then. But if the sign comes after the night has passed, to the break of dawn, then we have no choice. We just have to do the ibadah. We have to try and do as much on the night. So put chance, if we find out that it is that night after we see a sign afterwards, then alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, we have caught it, inshallah. So some of the things that we could do on this night, and usually a lot of us may go to the masjid for Lailatul Qadr. A lot of us, even the women, would actually go to the masjid and spend time there and they might have different sessions and all of that. And the purpose is, one of the purposes is that it is easier to do ibadah in the masjid as compared to home. So at least for the vast majority of people, that is. Meaning that in the masjid, you know, there are people around, there's activity going on, they may have stuff to eat, the lights are on, everybody's moving around, everybody's doing ibadah maybe at some point in time. So you get that encouragement, you get that inspiration to do ibadah also, you know. And sometimes if you try to do that home, the same exact thing home, your bed is right there. Some people have the TV and that they may be calling them during that time. You have the phone, other family members there. You have something to take care of. You always see something that will be distracting. It's most easily to get distracted at home, and it's most easily to probably fall asleep during the nights at home than compared to the masjid. So, you know, this year though, we don't have that luxury. We don't have that option of attending the masjid or being at the masjid for Lailatul Qadr, or to seek out the night of Lailatul Qadr, that is. So, you know, because we don't have that there, we have to be inspiration for each other. We have to be inspirations for our own families. The husband has to be the inspiration for the wife, and the wife has to be there and remind and be an inspiration for her husband. And the parents have to, you know, wake their children or be there to encourage their children during these times. So, you know, we don't have the masjid, so we need to, you know, fill that void now. We need to create an area and a comfort zone that is conducive to doing ibadah. We have to, you know, probably create a routine that sits with your family, plan out a routine, what you intend to do during the nights that you intend to wake out or try to do some sort of ibadah. Plan out with them what they intend to do. You know, and some of my advice is probably have 2 sessions. One after Isha, that there's a session that you do some sort of ibadah, and then take a rest. And because sometimes it's difficult to go the entire night, and if we could go the entire night, that is the best thing. But after, take a session, have some rest, and before the last third of the night starts, wake up then, cool back out, and get ready, get up. So when the last third of the night starts, we have energized again, we're ready to go again and to do, you know, different forms of ibadah all the way up to the time we take suhoor. So, you know, just as my simple suggestion, and of course you could have plenty better suggestions, I would guess. So my simple suggestion, and in these periods of ibadah, we said we'll do one first, then take a rest, then another one. Your periods of ibadah would be structured somewhat of some sort of salah. So, you know, probably we do a couple 2 rakah, we can do tahajjud salah, or we could just, it is no problem just doing 2 rakah of salah, just of nafil salah, no problem at all, we can do that. So let it revolve around some sort of salah, let it revolve around some sort, have a little bit of Quran reading, Quranic recitation, also spend some time with the Quran, do some sort of dhikr, some sort of adhkar. And you know, the book Fortress of the Muslim, Husnul Muslim, very good book, and you would see the many rewards for some of the dhikr and the adhkar that we can do there. So spend some time also with doing some sort of dhikr, and also spend some time doing dua. Make supplication, because we know that our decree, our Qadr will be written on this night. So it's important that we do dua. You know, we'll come to it just now, but when Aisha radiallahu anha asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that if she found this night, if she were to find Lailatul Qadr, and she knew it was Lailatul Qadr, and what should she do? And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her a dua to say. You know, and the Prophet, and we'll speak to you about the dua just now, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her a dua to say. You know, and Sheikh Bazmul from the Islamic University of Medina, he made a very important point, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have said anything at this, any form of ibadah at this point in time. He could have told her to, you know, make sure and perform the salah, or, you know, do some adhkar, or this is the night when the Quran was revealed, spend some time with Quran. But he told her to make dua. So, you know, it shows that that Prophet Muhammad chose out supplication, chose out dua among the different forms of ibadah to do on this night, and advised Aisha radiallahu anha to do it. So, you know, let our ibadah revolve around these things. So and of course you tweak yours to suit it. Coming to the dua that the Prophet Muhammad SAW told Prophet Aisha radiallahu anha to say, and this of course make sure of utmost importance that we learn this dua, and if we do not know it, then probably write it down and we say it multiple times during the night of Lailatul Qadr, because if this is what was prescribed by the Prophet Muhammad SAW, then it's one of the best things that we can do on that night. And what is the dua? The dua is Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Right? Allahumma innaka afuwun, that oh Allah, you are afu, you are the one who is most forgiving. Tuhibbul afwa, and you love to forgive. Not just that you are most forgiven, but you love the quality of forgiving. You love to do that. Fa'fu anni. So please Allah, we beg you Allah that you forgive us. And when we read this dua, we notice that there's a common phrase, a common word that is used, that Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. That 3 times in every single verse of this dua, the word afa or its derivatives are used. And afa, one of the names of Allah is Afu, that Allah is Al-Afu, the one who is most forgiving. And when the word afu means to afa, from the verb to forgive, and we use different terms a lot to mean different terms to mean forgiveness. We know of the term ghafur or maghfirah means forgiveness. We refer sometimes to tawbah, they're doing tawbah, which refers to turn into Allah. But the word afa, when this is used, it means it gives the connotation that whatever is forgiven is erased from our books of deeds. Example, if we are forgiven for something, if we use the word maghfirah or ghafur, that we could be forgiven for something, but it is not forgotten. It's still there in our records, in other words. But if we use the word afa, this type of forgiveness means that we are forgiven for it, and it is even wiped away from our records. It is totally forgotten. There's no record of it existing anywhere at all. And this is the type of forgiveness that we asked Allah for on this night. And this is the type of forgiveness that Prophet Muhammad SAW prescribed us to ask for on this night. So if we don't know the dua, then it is advisable that we learn the dua, inshallah, and just probably have a piece of paper if we can't memorize it. It's quite short, but if you can't, just have a piece of paper and memorize it along and recite it as much as we can. And of course, make your list of duas too. Make your list of what you would like to supplicate to Allah for, and recite. Make as much dua on this night as much as possible. And one of the things he mentioned is that if someone doesn't have knowledge of when Lailatul Qadr is, they didn't know when it is, but they experienced it, they would have taken their portion of it. They would have achieved all the rewards of it. Meaning that we don't need to know when the night is, but once we have done ibadah in it, that we would have achieved it. So let our focus not be in when it is, but doing as much ibadah as possible for it. And just to close off on the point that the Prophet Muhammad also mentioned, that at the beginning of the month, that whoever is deprived from the month's mercy, from this month of Ramadan, its mercy and getting their sins forgiven, that they are truly deprived. And the night of Lailatul Qadr would definitely be within the next 10 nights, within the next 9 or 10 nights, without a doubt. So we know that for sure. Just which one it is, we don't know. And we will be surely be deprived if that night has come and we did not do as much as we could to achieve it. We did not do as much ibadah as we could to get our sins forgiven. We did not do as much as we could to make our qadr, to write our qadr the best that we want for the next year. So if you want to get married, if you want to have a good job, if you want to have a house, a car, and so many things that we would like to have for the next year, then this is the time that we ask for it. So the call to action today is have a plan. Have an action plan for the night with you and your families. So you have a routine in place, so you just don't fall asleep after half an hour passes and you just drop asleep and don't wake up back up until suhoor. But have a plan in place with your families. And the Prophet Muhammad SAW, that he would spend the entire nights up of the last 10 nights. And when it was time, he would wake his families also. So if we need to wake our families, probably we can do that also. So have a plan in place and do seek out the night of Lailatul Qadr. We ask Allah to let us be among those that we achieve this night of Lailatul Qadr. We ask Allah to make us among those that we get our sins forgiven in this month of Ramadan, and we ask Allah to make us among those that our Qadr for the year, that it will be that of goodness, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. And we bid farewell there. Do join us again tomorrow, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.